Life doesn't come with a grading rubric.
Unmarked is an open conversation between two international teachers meddling through their life,
Love,
and purpose far from home.
no edits.
No filters.
This is Unmarked. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Unmarked, episode 2.
We are very happy to continue doing that. We wanted to say thank you very much for supporting us and sharing it with people. I think that this podcast is not only for teachers, but also for people who are living abroad.
You don't have to be a teacher to listen to us, so please give us a review and share with your friends.
Whether they're teachers or not. So this week, we will be talking about the basics of what is international teaching, what is international life, and we're going to cover pros and cons
Of living abroad.
So buckle up. What is international teaching?
I think the comparison goes between the public schools that are in Southeast Asia and the international schools. Because in public schools, usually class sizes tend to be huge. For me, it was 50.
For me, it's 30 maximum.
But in international schools, they promise a smaller class size, more individualized learning, and more of a hands-on.
They offer this curriculum,
Yes.
which is syllabus, which is basically what students get when they graduate. And then for many students, the reason why parents send their kids to international schools because they want a valid international diploma.
Yes.
So then it's kind of easier.
Yeah, if they want to progress eventually to an international university. I know of Cambridge, IPC schools, and IB schools. Do you know of anything else?
Well, UK national curriculum,
Uh-huh.
but it's always... So,
Feels
okay,
tied
let's
with-
just give an overview what curriculum is, because I felt even as a teacher myself, when I started teaching, I was a bit lost in all of the names, and I didn't understand that some of the curriculums can actually go together, so you can combine them.
Yeah.
So how would you define what curriculum is?
Curriculum covers what we teach, what students learn, how we teach it, and how students learn it.
Based on the age and based on the level, there are different types of curriculum.
Yes.
I had experience teaching Cambridge curriculum.
Wait. Can you guess which grade we teach?
We didn't mention that.
Yeah.
So pause the video, pause the podcast, give it a thought, and come back.
Yes.
Shall we?
Now we are back.
Are we? They didn't have time to think. Okay. Sip of coffee and they will think about it. All right. Back to reality. Right now, we are teaching grade
3.
which is, how old are they? 8, 9.
Yeah, 8, 9.
I had experience teaching grade 2 last year. And basically, before it was always grade 3. So that's my comfort zone, I would say.
Yeah, because our current school uses a grade system, but in my previous school, I've taught year 3 and year 5.
The curriculums can always go together. And this actually helps teachers when it comes to lesson planning.
Yes.
In our current school, we are doing international baccalaureate, which gives tools and so much freedom for teachers when it comes to planning. And I think it's a bit challenging for some students, and that's why maybe not many schools take that curriculum. And this curriculum should go in combination with something else.
Yeah.
So as we do it in our current school, we are doing UK national curriculum and POIP. And I think that together it works better.
Yeah, it supplements it because I think the IBPYP, it's a way of learning.
Like tools, and it mainly about all and nothing, which is good. When I was studying and doing my postgraduate and I was looking through all of the learning theories and I was, but this is all IB. I think it mainly gives you the idea you are not the main character there. They are. They have their choice, they have their voice, and they can pick what they want to learn, and you are there to guide them.
Yes, it is quite a different way from like traditional teaching and learning. Most international schools, for IPC and IB schools at least, we would not have textbooks. I'm not sure about Cambridge schools.
We do.
Okay.
And that's why many people say, oh, Cambridge is so primitive, so basic. I don't think so. I feel like it gives so much structure.
They might help some students,
Exactly.
right?
It depends what type of learners are you working with. It's always nice to give students a choice. And if you do this on a regular basis, starting from the beginning of junior
Yeah.
school and leading up to grade 5, you will see that they have their own point of view.
Yeah.
But since it's always changing, I think that's the drawback of international school, because they always have new teachers and they
Yes.
all bring up their routine and their style of teaching.
Actually, I have quite an interesting take on that because in my previous school, we were trying out a new setup whereby teachers would have 3 classes per grade level, and then each teacher would then plan and teach a core subject
Okay.
across the grade
Yes.
level. So the teachers would then be able to meet all of the students
Yes.
from that grade. In some ways, it actually helps because in case a teacher is stronger in a certain subject and weaker in another, it helps.
My previous school started doing that.
How did it go?
They started doing that only in grade 5 because they wanted to prepare to be independent when they go through the transition to secondary years.
Okay.
And I remember when it was just introduced to the teachers, many of the teachers, what that's going to be like, because it's a bit of a mess.
For the students to
Yes,
move.
right.
Okay.
Because they are
Right,
so
this is
lost.
cute. But they're really cute. We solved that by having little baskets or like little bags. It
Okay.
worked.
Shall we also mention the misconceptions that people have about international teaching? Many of them, from my experience, believe in magic.
In acquiring the English language, especially.
They just feel like everyone. Some parents, they just send kids and they think, you do magic. He
Yeah.
will be Barack Obama once he graduates. I don't know why it's a Barack Obama. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what you're saying, Inga, but
Like,
sure.
he will graduate future president of the country.
UCL, Cambridge.
But
They
in reality,
might, but
they might. They might. It's collaboration between home and school.
I've seen parents that are tremendously supportive,
Yes.
and I've also seen parents who are not supportive. And it really does make such a difference to the child's progress.
Yeah.
I have one international school is for every child. But now that I am in an international school as a teacher, I think I'm starting to realize that it's not a style of learning that suits every learner.
True. You might send your kid to an IB school, but maybe your kid doesn't need IB. If your kid is very good in being structured learner, he needs a syllabus, he needs a teacher standing
needs
next to him.
systems, yeah.
He needs structure, he needs system. He won't be able to do IB. He
Yeah.
won't be able to be free in terms of like, when I ask student, what do you think about that? They shrug their shoulders because they are either scared to share their point of view or they're just not there. But they might be very good if you ask them to write a poem because it's a structure.
Correct. What about teaching at home versus teaching internationally? For you, it might be a bit different because you didn't have a chance to teach at home, but do you think that would be a difference?
I think yes. But it doesn't matter what country it is. I think generally we are teaching in international schools and they are private schools. So it's not a public school. And there are certain things that do not go the same way as in public school.
Yeah, I think back in my home country, I was also teaching in an international school. I believe that in the public school, they have a different system. They are stressed, the number of students and the workload. But for international schools, we have a class size, well, similar to here, 24. But we also have a majority of locals. So it's quite different. Over here, we also have a majority of locals.
I think it should be mentioned that in international school, it's the reason why it's called international school, not just because of the curriculum, not just because of expat teachers coming and working there, but also the reason why those schools exist. originally those schools started being popular in Southeast Asian countries.
To cater for the expat
Absolutely right. But
community.
also the reason why, because a lot of people from the West,
Yep.
they started moving and they would have their families and they would have to somehow bring them to
Yes.
school. They cannot go to local school. They don't know the language, so they would send them to international schools. It varies from country to country because
Yeah.
what I see here, it's 99% local children.
Yes.
In Cambodia, where I taught before, most of them were international expat
Okay.
kids. In Ukraine, for example, there is only one international school.
Oh, okay. I do have one thought about it because mostly back at home, they are local children, and over here, they are also mostly local children. I've heard that reason why some people send their child to an international school, initially it was for networking. Yeah.
Really?
Networking with
Okay.
other business people's children. But I think now, of course, it's more commercialized.
Very.
Yeah.
What do you think? What is the one thing that you wished people warned you before you started teaching internationally?
That the parents may not speak English.
And some students may not speak English.
That wasn't new for me because in my previous school, we've also had that.
That was new
But-
for me, though, when I started teaching.
Coming from Malaysia, where people speak English most of the time, we've also had parents from Korea, parents from China. They usually are able to speak a little bit of English, so we have no problem communicating during parent-teacher meetings.
And let's say that in Southeast Asia, English is a bit
Widely
wider,
spoken.
because when we moved to Mongolia, where we are right now,
Yeah.
it's not like that. And a lot of people said, people do speak English in Mongolia. No,
No, I don't think it's a widely spoken language.
that's why
So-
it's a bit maybe easier.
So it was very tricky because during the parent-teacher meetings here, we would need our teaching assistants, which we are blessed to have. They are basically local staff who support us in teaching and learning. They will be right beside us, helping us with translating. So whatever we have to tell the parents, they would translate, and whatever the parents have to say, our TAs would also translate it back to us.
But it's very difficult because I have something important to say, but if you translate that and then you don't know how the teaching assistant, how she or he understands what you're saying, so you don't know how it will be translated.
Because sometimes you might have something delicate that you want to say, behavioral issues or difficulty, and there are nuances to that when you tell them in English.
Also with the students, like you said, you didn't have problems because a lot of students in your country do speak English or understand English at a certain level.
Yes, for local children in Malaysia, they do come with basic English, even though if, let's say, it's grammatically not right, they can still speak. But it's usually children, students from other countries, then they come with zero English, then they do struggle a little bit. But since everyone speaks English, they usually capture bit by bit eventually. And we do all sorts of actions in class just to help them learn.
Integrate.
Yeah.
In my experience, I started my international, like truly international career by moving to Cambodia. And it was a big shock for me to see not many students speak English. That's my first year being in Southeast Asian country. It's my first year being a homeroom teacher because before I used to be an English as a second language teacher. Imagine the amount of pressure and stress. And they put this kid in my class who is in grade 3 and he is from China and he doesn't say a word in English. He doesn't also understand Chinese, very basic phrases. He had homeschooling. The kid had homeschooling grade 1 and 2. So basically the most important years of schooling. And then he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know
That's a
how
challenge.
school looks like. So he is in my class. He's struggling. I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. So in this case, in each school, we have learning support department. It is divided into two sections. It is special education needs support for students who had some ADHD or dyslexia or anyone who needs support socially or emotionally. And then we have English as additional language support.
Yeah.
And that was so much needed and so helpful for me then, because that's how you collaborate,
Yeah.
which is one of the most important ideas of international schooling. You always have to collaborate. It's not like, this is my class, these are my students, no one should be there.
Yeah.
I know what to do.
As people say, like, it takes a village.
Absolutely.
It's really nice when you know that you have the support of your colleagues. You can always go to your colleagues' class and say, hey, I really need help. And it's nice to be able to do that. But with children that do not speak any, that's why I've also picked up a few words. Like, for example, in my previous school, there were a large population of Korean students. And one of the first things that you need them to write is their name. How do you sign name? You cannot, right? So
Right.
name is i름. That I've had to learn.
Irem.
I름.
Now I also know
Yeah.
that. Now you also know
Yeah,
it.
now you also know that. Or in Mongolia, my students have taught me, how do you say come here? Nesher, Nesher, come here.
Actually, with this movement, let's explain what we do right now.
Yeah.
What's this
Come here,
movement
come
like?
here.
So in my country, we would do like this.
Come here.
And in Cambodia, when I lived there, it's rude. So they would say like this.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know. I
to me.
usually don't do this. I do this.
The Mongolian language, they keep saying sometimes when they're too into some activity, they are too involved into something, they're like, Bakshi, Bakshi.
Yeah, because baksha is the
Oh, wait, yeah, I don't even say it now correctly. Oh my God, how do you say it?
baksha. Baksha. It's like
That's the
teacher.
one. So it's very cute.
I also know how to say keep quiet. This might come in helpful.
Wait, in what language?
In Mongolian.
Okay, could you
Yeah.
say that again?
Chimegwe.
Means?
Keep quiet. Yeah.
I will put that down. I
But
need that.
please fact check to see if that is a polite way of saying it, because it's my students who
Yeah.
taught me that.
You never know. Do you want to talk about the cultural differences and bring up some funny stories that happened in the classes? Because I have a lot.
Let's start with our favorite.
Sniffing clothes. So, for those of you who don't know, in Mongolia, if you want to recognize who this thing belonged to, you would sniff it.
Yeah.
It was one of the classes when the students had to transition between our class and then PE or a dance class, and they had to change clothes. And they're kids, they just throw things everywhere.
Their belongings are mixed up.
And then I would pick it up and say, whose t-shirt is this? And they would be, teacher, just sniff it. I thought it's a joke. It is not. They actually come, they sniff it and like, this one, it's his. And the weird thing is that it's true. Like,
They do
it
that.
actually belongs to that
Yeah.
student.
My only explanation for it is that in winter, like in temperate countries, you would rewear a certain clothing more times than in tropical countries. So maybe your scent would catch on. I don't know. That's my rationale for this whole thing.
I don't try to.
It's kind of funny,
It's
but
gross to me.
they do really do that.
I have something funny. It's also the story from our recent experience in Mongolia. We all know that there are certain gestures that are not appropriate for students. And one of my students came to me, teacher, he showed me the middle finger. I'll be like, okay, drama. Let's solve it. I come to the student and I confront him and I say, what happened? And he was like, no, teacher, I just showed magic trick. And he basically shows this.
For our listening,
Listeners. It's like, I don't know how to explain that.
basically they put their hands as a fist, and
Exactly.
then their thumb is in between.
In different countries, this gesture is considered to be rude. For example, in Indonesia, it means a male genital organ. In my country, it's just rude to show it, but nothing too crazy. But here it's the equivalent for middle finger. And I didn't know that. And then when I told this to the teaching assistant and she said, well, actually, that's the middle finger in Mongolia, I would be like, oh, nice to know now. Just imagine that happening to
Even
you.
body language would be different.
Absolutely. But in terms of cultural differences, again, since it's not my culture at all, everything seems different and sometimes funny to me. That's the benefit of being an expat because you learn so much about different cultures. So in Cambodia, they would take off the shoes before they enter the classroom. So in my country, we take off the shoes when we come to your home, but there they take off the shoes before entering the classroom. And for me, that was a bit weird because I was wearing shoes. And then at some point, the teachers told me that it's a part of the culture,
So they would just,
be in their socks.
oh. I've tried actually a no-shoe policy for my classroom library back in Malaysia. But it's so funny because it's a tropical country and I was teaching year 5. They are growing up.
Going through
And
puberty.
They do play
Starting.
football
Oh my God.
during break when it's 38 degrees outside. That was a bad idea.
my
It
God,
was really funny. When they came back in, they wanted to read books.
Yes.
Sure, shoes off. And then we go, what smell is that? And then from that day on, we canceled that policy. Air fresheners help.
Yeah. Purifiers.
So with all of the cultural differences, we do have stories to tell outside of school too.
Stay tuned for the second part.
Let's take a break.
Break. This is Unmarked. Welcome back to the second part of our podcast. This is Unmarked part. And since we are talking about international teaching and what it's like to be an international teacher,
Living abroad.
jinx, we decided to make a list of the pros and cons of living abroad, being an international teacher,
Basically, having our lives away from home.
figuring it out.
Let's start with a pros. So, every day for me feels like traveling. Like I get to explore a new city without just being a tourist because
Yes.
I'm living every day here as a local. And that is something that is exciting.
But it's different because even though it feels like a vacation, it's not. And you're this weird state of mind, like you're not a tourist, you're not the local, you're somewhere in between. You're here for a year or two and you have to change your whole routine for this particular place.
Yeah.
And then you know it has an expiration date. You know exactly when you're going to leave.
I still don't know.
You don't, my dear.
I'm keeping it open.
I like that. Maybe
Well,
I
yeah.
should do the same.
Maybe. What about you?
One of the benefits for me is learning from students and learning from people that I meet in different country. It could be literal, like some fact that I didn't know about. It could be some parenting skills. It could be something professionally, like I can learn how to plan the new subject. For example, I've learned a lot from you,
Oh.
you know? Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Time for compliment.
I actually have something similar, meeting new people and having connections around the world. And it's so strange and interesting at the same time, whereby you would have to schedule video calls with somebody. And with time zone differences, you're trying to work out, is it 12 hours ahead, 12 hours before?
Yeah. And I have friends who are like, GMT. I'm like, oh, I don't know what it means. Okay, Google, what's the time in Seattle? What's the
Do you
time
know
in
what's our
Germany?
time zone, GMT?
Is it GMT here?
GMT plus.
7,
I think it's plus
6,
8.
sorry.
6.
It's in the brain. You can't, if you are not the teacher or if you don't have kids,
dear.
probably you think we're weird. But it's a thing.
I find it both happy and sad to have friends all over the world because, for example, I came in mid-year into Mongolia and I did not expect to meet friends that I learned so much from. I've had one colleague where I learned so much in terms of planning for English. She is so passionate about reading, and our recent poetry unit, I was also trying out some stuff. But yeah, we know that there is an expiration date.
Absolutely. If you have like more than 7 years of teaching experience, when you move to a new country, when you move to a new school, you would always stress out and you would struggle first month.
Yeah, you have new
And that's
things.
why it's so important if you get the support from your colleagues and the friends that you make at work. But it's also important when you move to a new country, if you have someone there already.
Oh, yes.
Your friends or maybe someone would be leaving the school and you would be just coming in. In my case, when I moved to Cambodia, my brother lived in Cambodia already and he worked in that school, which I joined. So for me, it was a smooth transition. For you, it's also was a bit
I think
lighter.
over here, it would have been easier for me to adapt than for you because I've had an ex-colleague who is already here.
Right.
Yeah, so she brought me around, pointed to me boots that I needed. So that was really nice to
Right.
have somebody show you the ropes.
Since we talk about perks of being an international teacher, is the idea that I can help and I can change the world for a better place in terms of we work with those many humans and we are the ones spending most of the time with them and we teach them the basics. You know, I teach my students how to sneeze, how to say hi when you open the door in the morning, those little basic things. And I think they will probably know how to do it during their whole life. So I like to believe that I make it better.
I always have a funny thought. What if after a couple years or after an entire career of international teaching, I would gather all of my students together and oh my goodness, like all across the world, there would be people who know your little quirks or they would all respond to the same callbacks. It's so funny.
Callbacks. This is one of my drawbacks because
Okay.
I will not be able to see my students grow older.
Oh, yes. But you can always revisit.
Yes and no. For example, I would go back to Cambodia soon and I will see my students. Some of them are already in secondary school. When I joined the school, they were in primary and now they are teenagers. Obviously, they do remember us as their previous year teachers, but you don't see this grow. You just see them in different stages. But it's not the same as if you would be like constantly in one place, living and teaching. For example, in our school in Mongolia here, there is a teacher who's 40 years teaching. So she's seen a lot of students and some of the students brought their kids to her. It's just so cute. We are lacking that. We won't be able to do this, probably.
That's true. Do I have one more? Oh, yeah, I do have one. I think living abroad makes me realize that there is kindness everywhere. Like, even when you don't know someone.
That is so sweet.
Yeah, because you're in an unfamiliar place, you don't speak their language, and yet when people still choose to be nice, I'm like, okay, there is still hope,
Yes.
right? Do you still have any pros of living abroad?
I like to think that there is always a home everywhere for me, depending where my friends are. I like to think about this as in the world is so big and small at the same time for me because now I know that I do have friends in Europe, I do have friends in Asia, and it is so nice to know that if I'm gonna be there traveling, I can meet them, and it's amazing. Shall we move on to...
Time to be pessimistic?
Yes, time to... No, I would say realistic. The reality is like that. There are some drawbacks of being an expat. I think generally most of those points probably will also resonate to people who are just constantly traveling and living abroad.
I have one that would apply to both teaching and also at home. Basically, you can't build a resource bank or you can't build a collection of stuff. For example, I have a tub of books back in Malaysia and it's still in my room. It's a whole tub full of books. And I bought them with the intention of growing that collection because I thought I would continue to teach in Malaysia, and it was an expensive collection. The previous time I was back home, I actually brought 3 kilos of books with me, and they're in my classroom now.
When we go traveling, we bring two things. We bring local food, and then we bring books for our students. Do you want to say what are the things you've brought from your previous school?
I have a calendar flip thing. It's just a bar, and then I've printed and laminated the date and the day. That has been with me since my very first year of teaching, and it has been flipped
So sweet.
by my students
How
since
many
the first year.
terms there are? Oh, okay, sorry, I'm lost. But think about that.
And also my lanyard, all the pins and badges. It's a collection from my very first year of teaching.
It's so cute.
And I can remember who gave it to me. And Nika says that she can recognize me by the clings and clangs.
Absolutely, because I also have some like badges and stuff on my lanyard, and every time I walk, I'm like, oh, Carol is there. I've brought like a very sweet note from my students, a pack of notes that they wrote for me for different occasions, like Christmas, birthdays, when I was leaving. I can't display them in the class because there are names, but obviously I have that kept. And I've brought the jar of beans.
Sweaty coffee beans.
Yeah, it's like a classroom management tool. If you think how many generation of kids from different countries touch those beans.
Stinky beans.
Right. And also I've brought a very sweet note from my principal. This one I display in my class. Which is nice.
Right beside your desk. I just had a funny thought when you said note. The other day when we were practicing writing metaphors, I realized that it was really hard for my students to write metaphors straight away. I thought, okay, it will be easier if we started with similes and then turned them into metaphors. So my sentence starter was, my teacher is blank, like blank. Okay.
I'm excited where it led to. All right.
Okay, I have some very cute ones, like my teacher is pretty like a flower, which was so sweet. But
Right.
okay, I also have my teacher is cute like a dog. So when they turned it into a metaphor,
Oh
my
my
teacher is a
God.
dog.
Oh my God, my teacher is a dog. Oh my God. And then you don't know how to react because you have to teach them. You have to say no, sweetie. But it's also you start laughing, and then oh my God, it's a struggle. I had something funny similar happening in my previous school. So I would have a green dress, and then the student, she would come to me and she's like, "Hello, teacher Broccoli." Like, what do you say? How do you react? This is the difference between working with young kids and being a teacher in secondary school. She doesn't know it's inappropriate.
Oh, I'm
to
completely immune.
say, teacher is a dog. All right, next one. The difference of culture and mentalities. In Southeast Asia, people would be smiling all the time. They would be so welcoming. Everyone is just super friendly. Whilst here, it
You've
is
had
not
tougher
like that.
luck.
Yes. So first of all, people, not just at school, but generally outside, they would all have poker faces and sometimes very serious face expressions. And I'm Slavic. I'm from Eastern Europe. We also have those faces. But I think because I lived so many years away from that culture, I forgot, the B face. When your face says that you hate everything and everyone, but in reality, you're a very kind person. But here it's something similar, and it really pushes on me so much. And I feel, oh, they all hate me. When I say good morning to local stuff, they would not respond. And it's not because they are rude. It's mainly because they don't speak English at the certain level. So it's not the small talk culture.
One of the explanations I have is that over here it's too cold to show your teeth.
In my home country, it's now proper autumn. So I'm like, where I am. I would also probably not be too happy when it's now minus 17 outside and the snow.
Yeah. But I consider myself quite lucky. I've met people at the pharmacy, like just random people who are nice, but I don't think Nika has been so lucky.
I haven't. Because I felt like so lost. I moved here, I didn't know anyone. I'll be like smiling to everyone and going to buy some groceries and SIM cards, and they would not say a word in English. How many times have you used Google Translate to communicate with the locals?
Most of the time.
I think this is one of my favorite
Yeah,
app in my phone because it's
definitely.
constantly like you show, and it frustrates me so much and I feel so useless. Since we mentioned the experience going groceries and like pharmacies and stuff when you live abroad, you might have difficulties doing grocery shopping. And at the same time, you don't know the products. You don't know if that's the one you think it looks like. You buy and then you get disappointed. Have you had that?
Over here, it's actually even trickier because all of the products are listed in Mongolian. So I can't read Cyrillic for a start.
I can.
You
But it
can.
doesn't help. It really doesn't.
I do have a hack though. Look at the numbers. So the product code, at least you know the price.
Right. That is smart.
Yeah.
But it would take longer than to do groceries.
Yeah, it does. Otherwise, I would just translate.
Every time I go and live in a new country, you get used to also some local snacks. In Cambodia, I got obsessed with bombs, like tiger bomb.
Oh, okay.
Like those herb. There, they are not very much into medicine. They all curing themselves with balms and teas. And first, in my culture, once you get sick, you just get a bunch of pills. But when I started living in Cambodia, it got a bit in a different direction. So when I moved from Cambodia to Mongolia, I had literally like a whole wash bag with balms and some herbal teas and some creams and inhalers and snacks that I know for sure I won't be able to get in Mongolia. Do you want to show what you have, Miss Carol?
I have this inhaler.
You bought it in?
Yeah, in Thailand though. I've always had one, even when I was in Malaysia. But this one I've just recently got from my trip.
Yeah. But again, it's not the thing here.
But like you said, we would like certain things from that country. And I think in Mongolia, it's the dairy products. I think-
Dairy?
yeah, all the dairy products here are so good, especially the yogurt and the milk. I think there is a higher fat percentage
Right.
in their milk.
Yeah.
They do make good coffee. So when I went back to Malaysia, I couldn't find the same.
One of my drawback is the feeling of missing out and having the guilt you're not there when some important event happened,
Yeah.
even small things. When I was leaving my family, my nephew could not speak, like only trying to say some words. But then when I was away, my parents called me, his grandparents called me, and then he could say my name now. He's like, Nika. And then it's a mixture between the Russian word for auntie, Tota, and then my name. So it's like, Nita, Nita. And it made me cry because I felt like I've missed that, the first words and everything for the first time, and then birthdays, and if one of your family members is not feeling well.
Just last month, my grandmother passed. I'm stuck here. I can't go back. It's really strange to grieve from afar
Yes.
because life goes on as normal. I would still
Yeah.
go to work, this and that, as we just cope. It is part and parcel of living abroad.
Yeah, we just have to carry on.
Yeah.
I love being here, and I love this life that I have, this opportunity to travel and meet new people. But sometimes it just makes me so sad that I miss everything out.
Actually, I'm quite nervous about the first Lunar New Year next year that I
Which
would
is
miss
a big
out.
thing for you.
Yeah, because I've been at home
Yes.
celebrating with them for 25 years.
Yes.
So,
It's gonna be difficult.
yeah. But I will miss the cookies and the
And?
red packets. We call them ang pao and there is money in it.
I can make one for you.
But you're not married, so you can't give me one.
Eh?
Yeah,
Oh.
so
What discrimination is that? Seriously? You can only make it if you're married?
Yeah, we have this tradition. We call it the ang pao, which is red packet.
Yes.
It's a little red envelope. And if you are married, you would pack some money and you can spread the joy and blessing to children or adults who are single. And if you're single, it's okay, you're sad enough already. You don't have to be giving out blessings.
Oh my God.
Hey, but it is a huge cost if you have a large family because you
nice
have to give a
income.
lot. Yes,
Like
and
side
it's a nice income.
I love it.
I will ask my brother to take it on my behalf.
Hey, oh, that's a nice idea. I have a take about this that you've mentioned about married and single people. My drawback is that I'm not settled, and probably a lot of international teachers, unless you're an international teacher couple, they are not settled.
Yeah.
So it's like you're everywhere but nowhere at the same time. You see your friends going through different stages of their life, getting families, settling down, and then you are that funny auntie who always have stories to share once you go back and once you meet with your family and friends. But it's also lonely. You feel like, who am I? Where I am now? How long will I be able to do that? Do I want to settle down? Do I want to stay in that country? We had to take a little pause.
Because I was coughing.
Right. And to be honest, we can say that last week was pretty rough for both of us. Carol got sick.
Yep.
And it was also the week when we launched our podcast,
Yes.
which was very stressful.
I'll share my story though. On Thursday, I realized that there is something really wrong. So I went to the clinic. I had an hour-long consultation. I needed an x-ray. Despite me saying that I don't need it, I know that my sinuses have an issue, so I can tell you that it is clogged right now.
Just give me the medicine
Yeah.
and send me home,
But she insisted on an x-ray.
which is very professional then.
But x-rays are so extra back in Malaysia.
Maybe also they think, oh, she's a foreigner, and what if we mess up and then something bad happens? We
Oh,
can
yeah,
be
that's
sued,
true.
you know? So they want to do extra,
Yeah.
extra everything.
She's a very sweet lady, probably in her 50s. So she
Could
was
she speak
taking-
English though?
No. The entire consultation was through Google Translate. We were just smiling at each other. We had to fill up the insurance form. She was so impressed by how my handwriting looks like the printing. That is so off topic, but that happened during the consultation. Okay, we got the x-ray, no swab, and apparently I would have to go back on Tuesday to get the antibiotics once the test results are out.
Did she give you any kind of medicine that day?
She did give me a 2-page prescription.
But you have to wait 4 days until you're getting the antibiotics. It might get worse, right?
Yes, I was already presenting with fever. She told me through translation, it is really clogged, but you are still smiling. It was such a strange interaction. So I had to go to the pharmacy to get the prescriptions, but I had to go to 3 pharmacies.
That's very much similar to like Eastern European countries. In all other countries, they would have a pharmacy in the hospital.
In Malaysia, it's the same. We would walk into a clinic, have a 15-minute consultation,
Done.
you go home with the medicine. This is entirely new for me. So 3 pharmacies later, I got all the medication I
And
need.
you were sick, you had fever during
Yeah,
the
I was already
walk.
spiking a high fever. Until today, I'm still short of 2 antivirals. Because one of the pharmacies said we only have 5 left, not 7.
Do you want to say who cured you? Because this is why I love being an international teacher.
School really supports you. I woke up even worse. I called my HR officer. I need to get myself hospitalized. What do you advise? She told me that actually the hospitals would do the same. They will not be able to prescribe antibiotics straight away. Basically, my HR officer was the one to tell me that I needed antibiotics.
And this is, you won't get it if you in your home country, the support that you get.
She actually sent the school doctor to my apartment. She came, she had a look at what I had. I brought with me a dose of antibiotics. Thank goodness I could start myself with that, and she prescribed me an extension for that dosage of antibiotics. And voila, it
yeah.
worked.
I still feel like you're such a hero to make it now. That's why women are superheroes.
Yes, we are.
But also, it's the feelings that you have. Did you feel lonely and like I'm all on my own?
I was actually pretty pissed that 2
Pissed?
days.
Why pissed?
Well, because as a teacher, even though you're sick, you still have to prepare cover work.
Even if you are in a deathbed
You would still have to crawl up and do your cover work.
on your laptop.
Wednesday night, I woke up at 4 a.m., submitted the cover work, submitted all my leave requests, and then went to the doctor. Being sick in a foreign country, that's definitely a major cons. Do you have any more cons of living abroad?
And for me, it's also the uncertainty whether I want to continue my contract or whether I want to stop and look for something else. Because you also need to know when it's time to move on to something else, to a new chapter. For example, with Cambodia, no matter how much I loved being there, I also felt like it's time for me to try something new. It was such a difficult decision for me to take because I felt like it's my comfort zone. But also there is a different side of that when you want to stay, but then the school doesn't see that happening. I've heard those stories.
Okay.
This is also upsetting because then you're constantly under stress because you don't know whether the school will ask you to stay or not.
I think that part hasn't hit me yet because this is my first international experience. When the time comes, I will know. That is pretty daunting to think of what's next. But I'm going to just enjoy the present moment.
Enjoy the ride.
I guess we've arrived at the end of the Unmarked section.
It was a very long conversation, but we hope that a lot of people can resonate to what we've been sharing here. And we will see you in a bit in our homework section.
See you.
See ya!
This is Unmarked.
Welcome back to our homework section. And this week you will have 3 homework.
Something to read, something to listen, and something to watch.
We're going to start with something that we would like you to read and something that actually resonates to the topic we've been talking about today, which is international life and starting in a new country, moving, leaving your family, your friends, and starting all over again. This is the book called Brooklyn. The author is Colm Tóibín. It's about the girl who moves from Ireland in 1950s to start a new life. She basically migrates there and she successfully goes through all of the struggles that there are on the way. The struggles of being alone and not having friends and having difficulties, and everything goes well until she gets some messages from her family back in Ireland, and she has to now manage this constant struggle that all expat people have, whether you start the new life or whether you go back and basically stay in your comfort zone. So that's the take from me for something to read this week.
To listen, I was actually quite surprised that you suggested this song too. But it's Home by Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. I've heard of this song actually just recently when I was watching a show on Netflix. It's a rom-com about a girl who went to the Australian outback. I forgot what.
It's always rom-com with this song. It's such a beautiful song.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful song. And I searched for it and I found the song and I started playing it on the ukulele too. The lyrics just reminds you of what home is.
And that sometimes home is not the place, but the person.
Yep.
Something to watch. We recommend you to watch
Emily in Paris.
Which is funny enough.
Light enough.
it resonates to our life right now.
Yep.
We are both Emily's in Ulaanbaatar. We also live our best life now.
Definitely. And we're exploring.
Do share with us your picks, whether you complete the homework, share with us your point of view.
If you're living abroad, if you've experienced the same or different.
If you are living abroad right now and you're going through very lonely time, know that you're not alone. We are with you in the same boat. So do join us in our small little podcast community.
Yes.
Send us an email. What do you think about the homework that we gave you? Maybe you want to share your story of your international life, your expat life. We would like to hear that.
Hit subscribe if you're here on YouTube. And if you're on Spotify or Apple, leave us a review too.
Please put 5 stars.
Yeah, share it with any friends whom you think our channel would resonate with.
Whether it's teachers or not.
Yeah.
I think everyone could resonate.
Yes.
And we're happy to hear from everyone.
Yep. Follow us on our socials. We are also on Instagram and
TikTok.
unmarked.pod.
Till next week, this is Nika and
Carol.
this is
Unmarked.
Bye. See you next week.
Goodbye.